your own vlog. That's the purpose of Zenny 62 Vloggers being here. I mean, it's great that you're here, but it would be really nice just to have a vlog on what happened. Now, with that, I'll continue. And then also, if you want to really help out, also on social media, put this on social media. Also on social media, put this on social media. And then that, get more people in to comment, right? Okay, so let's talk about this for the Ravens debacle for the Miami Dolphins and win. First of all, the announcers at the end of the broadcast and really during the broadcast, okay, fine, and before the game started, which is the focus of the broadcast, do a disservice to football by not discussing schemes, plays, and the problems with those plays and schemes. It's not that they don't. And of course, because for example, we got a steady diet of mention regarding a type of defense that the Dolphins were using that was exploitable by the Ravens, except the Ravens didn't exploit it. A defense that is not dissimilar, though not exactly alike, to the kind of wide tackle 6 defense that the Carolina Panthers threw at the New Orleans Saints when it looked like New Orleans Saints under Jameis Winston were world beaters after having dismantled the Green Bay Packers. No, it was pretty much the same defense. Basically committing 8 defenders to the front, the box, as they say, not leaving the middle open, having the quarterbacks off rather than up, and blitzing 6, sometimes 7, sometimes 8 people, and doing it continuously with the idea that you're going to make it difficult to throw deep, you're going to make it difficult to run, and you're trusting your defenders to quite literally chase the play inside out. So if they try to run to the edges, they get chased. And the Dolphins have the athletes to make that work. Bravo. What's the answer to that kind of defense? Well, simple. The answer is to throw a consistent diet of very short passes wherever you can take them. For example, in that defense, commonly the cornerbacks are playing 10 to 13 yards off the wide receiver. Well, why not just have the wide receiver not even move an inch, just turn around, have the ball thrown to that person, and they can basically exploit that 13-yard gap to pick up, a net of 4 to 6 yards. Just like a running game, right? They didn't do that. Why not have quick passes to the tight end where they may take one step and then immediately to the sideline? Ravens didn't do that. Why not have a steady diet of slant passes? The Ravens tried to do that, but on occasion their timing was off. The Ravens are not the best at throwing timed slant pass. They really need to work on them. Why not have plays where if you're not going, in addition to the very short pass, you are going in, and knowing that the defense is really, really pursuing Lamar Jackson, why not have a play where the quarterback runs a sweep, but then gives a reverse to the flanker? All the better to fool the defense. If they're going to pursue Jackson that aggressively, make them pay for it, right? Ravens don't do that. Why not have very short passes where if you know that the defender's playing zone, you're on the 20, rather than go all the way, or the 15 or the 10, why not, rather than having your receivers go all the way into the end zone where the defenders are, they go 2 yards and turn around and catch the ball? Why not that? That's the same criticism I made of Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator for the Ravens, approach when his Ravens were in the playoffs last year and lost. The Ravens essentially presented the same offense. Sure, they had rollouts with Jackson, but really they had what, two types of rollout plays, pass plays. And the problem with a rollout pass play when Lamar Jackson is asked to run it is he brings a party with him. So it makes no sense to have standard rollout passes only. Sure, you have them, but you also need to have that rollout pass in there that just so happens to include a kind of a sneaky underneath handoff for the halfback that you happen to roll by, and he goes taking off in the other direction. Or how about a play where Lamar's rolling out, but he has no intention of throwing to that side, and there's a receiver on the backside going that way, right? Going upfield, right? In other words, why not take advantage of the fact that you're playing aggressive defenses every single week? But what the Ravens do is they get drunk on Lamar's athleticism and leadership, and it's like at points they turn their collective brain off. In fact, I would argue that most of this season, and the reason why Lamar Jackson is a MVP candidate, is because those games that they've won are games where, oh sure, they had great coaching here and there, but their man performed to the highest level of his Superman capability, and they were just fine with that. I would be very concerned if every single time I went into a game and John Marks, how you doing, John Marks? Says, all right, Miami. I would be concerned if every single time I went into a game, I had to rely on my superstar player to get the win for me. I would also be very concerned that I'm getting this is an interesting question by Reverse asking me that if I think Lamar should wait until the Ravens get an offensive coordinator, a new one, to get a new contract. No, I don't. I do think that in the negotiations, Lamar and Team Lamar should take this video and the other videos that I made regarding criticizing their offense and Greg Roman and use them. All right? Use them because someone out there is noticing these problems in public, and they should be brought up in a negotiating meeting because you can bet your bippies the Ravens representatives are going to make their case, I would think. I don't think they're going to be nasty to Lamar because, let's face it, Lamar Jackson has made a lot of money for the Ravens. Lamar Jackson is the reason why the Ravens are on prime time so much. Lamar Jackson is the reason why the Ravens jersey sales are so great. Lamar Jackson is arguably worth $500 million to the Ravens franchise. So you don't want to be mean to him. There's no reason for that. All right? But what you want out of him while you have him is a Super Bowl. But you can't expect him to deliver that to you all by himself. You have to play complementary football, which means effective on all sides of the ball, offense, defense, and special teams. And it means that you have to have a system that is complementary from another dimension. That is, it adds something else to make the defense think about rather than just the speedy running of your star quarterback. You don't want that. You want your opponents to feel that even if you have one of the best quarterbacks as an athlete ever, they're going to get outcoached and out-schemed. And I'm going to tell you, I have never seen a game, no, once, I take that back, once, but with Lamar Jackson, I have never seen, no, I take that back. What I'm going to say this, I'll modify this. I have not seen the Ravens in the Greg Roman era in a game where I can say, yeah, they completely outcoached the other team. It's a matter of degree. In other words, their approach is not the norm. It's coached very well on its basis, using the kind of full house backfield, a running approach that Greg Roman brought into the league and really perfected with Colin Kaepernick and Jim Harbaugh as the coach of the San Francisco 49ers. That took them all the way to the Super Bowl, which unfortunately they lost to John Harbaugh, so Harbaugh has some experience, on the other side of the ball against that approach. But the main problem this time is John Harbaugh and Greg Roman haven't effectively grown beyond it. And when I say grow beyond it, I don't mean got away from it, but installed the kind of adjustments I've called for now for it feels like 2 years, maybe almost 3. And that is, have a set of super short passing patterns, because the receivers are playing off of the wide receivers. Excuse me, the defensive backs are playing off the wide receivers. They're seldom playing close. And when they do play close, the Ravens don't have a series of rub techniques with the wide receivers and I'm not saying the kind where they actually rub, but the kind where there's crossing, all right? Where there's the certainty of the open person, all right? Versus they let go Orlando Brown for rookie pass rusher. Now the O-line is terrible. I'm not sure the Ravens knows he needs to protect the quarterback. I don't blame the offensive line. I'm of the opinion that you don't draft an offensive line person to hold a block longer than that person really is capable of doing or is logical. Let me rephrase that. It doesn't make any sense to not adjust your scheme and instead say, well, you know what? My offensive line just isn't good, so boy, we just can't throw deep. Well, no, it's not you can't throw deep, but you can't hold blocks a long time. There are different ways of throwing deep. You can throw deep in the way where you have your quarterback take 8 steps back, which I don't recommend for a reason I'll get to, and ask your receiver to go up 15 to 18 yards and then break inside on a post pattern. But see, you're waiting. Think about what I just told you. I'm waiting for this receiver to go 15 to 18 yards, and I got to hope that my line holds the defensive line out long enough to allow that to happen. But suppose they can't. That's not their fault. It's your fault for insisting they run a play that they can't physically do. What's the answer to achieve basically the same objective? It's like this. Put your flanker in as a halfback behind your tight end, okay? Have your tight end one straight up, no break. Have your flanker go up here, come in and go out like that. The Mike Smart style of attacking a defense, and throw. Because what happens is that throw is shorter, but you're creating this lane where once the receiver catches the ball, they run. So the yard after the catch is more effective. So it's 2 different ways of thinking. In the first way, I'm not focused on yards after the catch, right? I'm focused on throwing a bomb. With time, receiver takes a step, okay? But the other one, I'm focusing on throwing it short. All right? If you have time to throw that, great. And if you've got a person like Jameis Winston, who I say is the best to ever throw that kind of pass, fantastic. But he's also good at throwing the other one. That's another story. My point is, there are different ways to achieve the objective of a long touchdown pass. You can do it through, I call it brute force, right? Or you can do it through, timing intellect. Brute force is just throwing it. You're waiting, boom, you throw it deep. You know he's going to be open. That's also timing. Bill Walsh would tell you about that. You take 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 time steps and then 3 smaller ones. time with the receivers move toward, he prefers 12 yards, then you go up 2 yards as if you're going to run the corner, and then you run the post. All right. So yeah, there's a timed aspect to that too, but the time frame is longer and it takes your offensive line longer. My point is the Ravens and most teams in the NFL, because of these powerful and fast defensive linemen, don't have that kind of time anymore. They just don't. And here's the other problem. The kind of offensive line people you need to make that timing happen are becoming so big it's hard to see over them. You know? And that's the other problem. These offensive linemen are getting to the point where they're 6'7", 6'8", and there are reasons like why, for example, Lamar Jackson has to throw in between people, and so does Patrick Mahomes, and they're good at it. You would say, what's the other answer there? Well, spreading out your line. But you really have to focus on the art of what I call the zero pass, which means the pass that is thrown without stepping back. You just grab it and you throw it, or you take one step and throw it, and that's it, to a receiver that doesn't gain ground but turns around. And then you have to have formations where that receiver, we increase the receiver's certainty of having a defender off that person. My point is you have to think about how to achieve this, and the Ravens don't. And so, hey, look, the Ravens defense played a whale of a game, but you get psychologically tired of trying to make up for your offense for the entire game. Your offense is not effective because of design. Not that they can't, but your coach is calling a stupid game. Resources, do you think Greg Roman is capable of making these adjustments? No, I don't. And the reason I don't is because, look, I know I'm not, well, I don't know, maybe I am the only person saying this and he's never seen them. But my point is this, even if he saw them, he wouldn't make those changes because he would think, I have my system and we're good. You can see what he's thinking about, and he's allowed to do that, okay? Greg Roman is allowed to screw up, but guess why? You know what the secret, no, not so secret ingredient is, and you'll agree when I say this, that allows him to make those mistakes and screw up? It's Lamar Jackson. Because of so many times that Lamar essentially bails out this bad coaching again and again and again. So Greg doesn't really feel the need to change. He's got Lamar. Has he put in some short passes? Yeah. But has he put in a full repertoire of short and very short passes? No. Then they would say it comes down to philosophy. We like to push the ball downfield, Zenny. We don't want those super short passes. Well, my argument is those super short passes are of the philosophy of getting the defense to chase your guys and mixing them with hard running. And you know what's going to happen by the second quarter and third quarter? They're going to get tired. And then you hit them with a deep throw. Because why? They're tired. They're not going to rush the passer with as much intensity as they did the first half, and in particular the first quarter. And guess what? You need to have a no-huddle system that you can dial. All of the stuff that I'm saying right now, I've said before about Greg Roman and the Ravens. And it just happens to rear its head when it's necessary, like tonight. So, yeah, it was frustrating to watch. I mean, for all that, Lamar Jackson threw 43 passes. 43 times Greg Roman asked him to throw. 43 of 26. 26 twice is 42, so obviously he didn't crack the 50% barrier. For 238 yards, really could have been 400. One interception and one touchdown. The interception was of the stupid variety at the end of the game. Near that. All right. He was sacked 4 times. I don't see the stat for hurries here. Reverse says, I would love to see Kyle Shanahan with Lamar as OC. I would not like to see Kyle Shanahan with Lamar Jackson. Jeremy says, you've been spot on about Greg Roman for the past year. Thank you, Mr. Poindexter. Thank you. Anyway, hey, unfortunately, no malice toward Greg Roman, just an observation out of love. Tagliavola was 8 of 13, 158 yards. Jacoby Brissett came back from an injury that he just missed going into Jameis Winston land. And what I mean by that is that torn ACL and meniscus and that Joe Burrow type injury that Jameis had. Because if you look at how he was tackled, now I'm talking about Brissett, who I love as a quarterback. I think he's not in the right place yet. Jacoby got twisted and his knee was turned in a torque fashion. He just missed having that happen. Thank God it didn't happen. He was able to go out for a little bit, come back, do some warm-ups, and then Coach Flores very smartly said, "You're done." I know he didn't like it, but you know what? He who fights and runs away lives to fight another day. Yeah. No, I'm not saying that Brissett ran away. I'm saying that his coach was saying, you know what? I'm going to make you run away for your own good so you can live to fight another day. He didn't like it, but it was for his own good. Brissett was 11 of 23. Yeah, 11 twice. 11, okay? Who do I think would be a good offensive coordinator for the Ravens? Tony Franklin, who's been on this show twice. I'll give you a shout out, Tony. I think Tony Franklin would be an outstanding offensive coordinator. And I also hesitated because I also thought John Gruden, because John Gruden's is John Gruden available? Could John Gruden be the offensive coordinator for the Ravens? Because I think John Gruden would be an outstanding offensive coordinator for the Ravens. So John Gruden, Pep Hamilton. If you remember, Pep Hamilton was offensive coordinator at Stanford and coached Andrew Luck. And I hold as one of the best teachers of the basic concepts of the Bill Walsh offense there is out there. So Pep Hamilton, let me see if Pep is available. I saw him at Lee Steinberg's party, but I didn't get a chance to go up and introduce myself. That was a few years ago. Let's see here. Pep. Hold on a second, folks. Pep. Oh, that's not going to do it, is it? Yeah, well, wait a minute. I'm trying to find the right place to go and search, and I think I just found it. All right. Pep Hamilton. Let's see if he's available. Pep Hamilton, Alfonso. Pep Hamilton is an American football coach who is the passing game coordinator and quarterbacks coach for your Houston Texans of the National Football League. Okay, 47 years old. So if you want to credit the success of David Mills out of Stanford, Pep Hamilton. No surprise there. Pep Hamilton, I think, is the man that should be the offensive coordinator. Heck, I think Pep Hamilton would make an excellent head coach for the Falcons, but it took Arthur Smith. Anyway, he had a 3-2 record with the XFL. So Pep Hamilton, also, while we're talking about offensive coordinators, and I mentioned John Gruden and Pep Hamilton, you see what I'm thinking is ball control passing offense, right? For Lamar Jackson, that's what I'm thinking. Some people who know how to design that. The running game, they're good running game designers as well. But it takes a certain type of thinking to understand how to properly install an effective ball control passing offense. And Greg Roman is not that person, okay? He's got that gimmick regarding running that, if you think about it, he hasn't developed a large repertoire of runs off of it going all the way back to the days of Colin Kaepernick. Not only has he not developed a large repertoire of runs off of it, he hasn't developed a large repertoire of passes off of it. So it is a great approach. It is an offense unto itself. Don't get me wrong. Okay, it is. But the Ravens it seems, have married themselves to its limitations. All right. Why? I'm going to ask John next chance I get. Next NFL annual meeting, if I'm able to go, my mother's health willing, you know? So there. So Pep Hamilton, there was another person I had in mind I was going to name, and but I think I'll leave it at that. John Gruden, if he's available, and Pep Hamilton as offensive coordinators. Yeah. Because the other people I'm thinking about also have, they have jobs. But those are the ones that stick out that I would want in my wish list. My criteria for a coach is someone who understands how to coach ball control passing versus are the Ravens afraid if they let go of Greg Roman, Lamar won't be as good or something? I think so because they have a great repertoire. They're like family, okay? So as much as I might pop off about my dislike for how Roman doesn't redesign his schemes, as much as I may not like that, there's something to be said for rapport. John Marks says that John Gruden is done in the NFL. I don't know that. Okay, I don't know that. I don't think John Gruden has seen his last days on the sideline. Okay, I don't. I'll repeat. I don't think that John Gruden has seen his last days on an NFL sideline or a coaching box upstairs. I don't think so. That's just my gut. I could be wrong, but I don't see overall where I am because of the nature of what happened to him. There's more to that story. Now, that will come out at some point, and my hunch is that the end game for where that goes will be him getting some job in the NFL, or at least some offer. Whether or not he takes it is another story, because that depends on where he will be at that time. But I don't think that John Gruden should be held hostage for emails and comments that everybody knows other people in the NFL have made. Okay? That's wrong. The NFL's gone through a great upheaval over the past 3 years alone. And for example, about 2 years ago, there were 3 sisters, black women, who had high positions of communication in the communications division in the National Football League. Jocelyn Moore was head of the communications division after having been a very popular lobbyist for the league. And we had Tracy only, my friend, who was her number 2 there. And there of the group that I'm thinking of, actually there are 4. Only one other remains. That's Taylor. She's a fantastic person. But there is a difference in how I was treated. Not that the baseline was I was treated badly by communications. No, I've always been treated terrifically by the NFL. But when it came to the NFL red carpet and access, they took care of me. Because there have always been white so-called journalist types who don't want me there. And they'll come up with a reason, but look, the simple fact that someone would make an effort to come up with a reason points to racism. It's like, well, why do you care? You know what I mean? Those people, fortunately, are in the minority number, and I know who they are. And my presence pisses them off, and I love it. But Tracy and Jocelyn and Brenda and Taylor have really worked to protect me over their time, and I more than appreciate them. They're fantastic. And also, again, with the exception of Taylor, gone. So, George Floyd did a job on a number of people. It made a number of people, particularly a number of people like me, look in a micro level at how we're being treated. And I go back to Al Campanis. If you've never seen that famous video where Al Campanis is saying that people who look like me don't have the right skills to manage, and you have to ask yourself the question: where would he get in his head that it's okay to say that, right? Or even take today, this attorney, the defense attorney in the Mon Arbery case, says he doesn't want any more black. He said he didn't want any more black preachers in there. Well, how stupid. So you mean I can bring a white preacher in? Oh, cool. All right. Because there is actually a white preacher in Chicago who is the, you know, uh, companion, or if you will, not companion, but ally of Al Sharpton. He's been active for a long time. His name just escaped me. But my point is, how stupid, you know? How stupid to say stuff like that. What goes in a person's head like that? Not even, you know, not even thinking, well, gee, I shouldn't have said that. He just said it. And then once it came out of his mouth and he saw the reaction in the room, then he realized he stepped in the doo-doo. Jeez. Yeah. Racism comes when a person puts in their head this idea that somebody, in this case who's black, shouldn't be there, and then rather than state the real reason regarding race, which this guy basically did, they come up with other reasons made up, having to do with education or credentials, right? It's either one of those or the other. So anyway, all right. Back to the main point. Does this mean the Ravens are in trouble? No, because not everybody is going to play that defense the Dolphins played. You have to have healthy defenders. You have to have fast defenders to have the, cojones to say that you are going to sell out like that and dare them to run around you. Say, run around me or throw over me into the middle. That takes some cojones, but it means that you think you got the athletes to pull that off. Because the one thing that you have on your side is the physics of time. You know that you're giving them, it's Buddy Ryan, you're giving them X amount of time to do something with that ball, and that's it. And that time is not a lot. When an organization brings 6 to 7 men up, or 8 men up, and they start sending them, and they are pressed close on the line of scrimmage to you, as close as they can be without going, over the line of scrimmage before the ball is snapped, they're saying to you, okay, we're limiting your options. We're limiting your ability to make these cute little fakes in the backfield and these sweeps and these long developing plays. We're killing all that stuff, and we're coming for you. You got 1.1 seconds, and that's it. So what happens if you don't have an offense that's designed to get rid of the ball in 1.1 seconds or less? You're screwed, and that's what happened. It's a time game today. The trouble is, a lot of coaches don't know it's a time game, and one of those groups that don't know it are the Ravens. And the question is, who does know it? I'll tell you, the majority of coaches don't. They don't. My view of what NFL coaching and football really changed when I discovered that quality control people today are just gophers. They go for the coffee, they go for the this, right? They do the dirty work for the coaches, they input the plays and the computer spits out statistics. I thought, or let me put it this way, if I had quality control people, I would make absolutely certain that they were doing research on what all the other teams were doing for the season, and we knew what the trends were, and we had an answer, and we knew what the trends were in high school and college, and we could borrow some tool from high school to college to use in our game plans. That takes a lot of research, and it takes constant research on a weekly basis. You don't have time to be a gopher. You don't have time to be a gopher. That's how I would do it. And that's how I thought they were doing it. They're not. So basically, to me, it's starting to look like glorified PE teachers. What happens is when you don't have a systemic approach, you know what creeps in? The isms. Racism, sexism, classism, all right? But when you have a process and an approach, all the other stuff fades away. That's just a fact. The Ravens, need to work on that, because the other thing that I don't see on the coaching staff, a lot of black folks. Okay? But what I saw on the other side of the ball of the Dolphins was the opposite. All right? Top to bottom, the Dolphins have like the Buccaneers, a diverse organization. That's another story. But the bottom line is this. The Ravens need to get their offensive act together if they expect to go to the Super Bowl. It's quite obvious from this Thursday night football game, they don't have it together. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com, and I'll see you.